You know how it goes on. Each and every person will be turning on their videos. Till the time I'm just admitting the students, kindly be prepared with all your stuff ready. And then one by one, I'll be unmuting you and then your doubt session will be starting. So please make sure all your PDF and your book material is ready so that we could start on with the session. Another 2 minutes and then I'll lock up the meeting so that all the students who have to enter, they will enter. Again, a reminder, if your video is not on, I will remove you from the meeting. So please make sure, do not give me irrelevant excuses for the same thing. We have already completed chapter number 3 and today is the doubt session. So we are going to have the doubt session once I just admit all the students who are entering the class till 1:55 p.m. Please gather all your doubts because once your turn comes, you need to tell me your doubts so that we don't waste much of our times. So already most of you have arrived. So let us get started. Quickly turn on your videos, each and every person. You know the rules of business studies class. I need to see you at least once. So please turn on your videos so that I can see you. I'll start removing the people who have switched off their videos. Let's start. Anurag Das, turn on your video, please. Harshita, Khushi, Some, Keshav, Sajal. Okay. So let me just start removing the people now. The first I'm removing is Anurag Das, for sure. The next goes on with Vansh Goyal. Ritika and Lochan. Please enter next time in the class once when you turn on your videos. Otherwise, no need to enter the business studies class, please. Fine. Now I'm at least able to see most of you. Nigar, what is the issue? I'm not able to see your picture. What happened? Nigar Ansari. Piyush, Yash Sharma, Some. Last call for all three of you. Dhruv Gupta, Kanishka. Better. So at least once you need to turn on your video so that I just see your faces. It's already 1:55 if I'm not wrong. Yes, it's 1:56. So let me just log the meeting and let's get started. Fine. So again, good afternoon, everyone. You remember that we have already completed the chapter number 3. Yesterday, on Friday, we discussed about some of the various questions that were quite important for us. And today we are starting on with the doubt session. You know the rules, how it goes on. One by one, I'll be taking your name and I'll be unmuting you, or I'll be waiting for you in the chat box, and you are going to tell me your doubts so that I could explain them and we could finish up the chapter properly. So let me just share the screen now. Yes, everyone. So let me start. The first person I'm going to unmute is, see, once I take your name and I ask you to unmute yourself, please turn on your video also. So the first one is Abhay Bansal. I'm unmuting you, turn on your video, and whatever doubt you have, just let me know either in the chat box, or if you want to say the doubt, just say it. Next, Ajay Bhatia, be ready with your doubts. Okay, so Abhay, you don't have any doubt? Okay, fine. Let's go on with Ajay Bhatia. Ajay Bhatia, kindly entertain your doubts. Okay, Ajay has also understood. No doubts. Fine. Ambika and Ankita Singh. Ambika Mohta and Ankita Singh, I am waiting for your doubts. Okay, so I got the first doubt from Ankita. She says statutory corporation. Okay. Ambika, also I'm waiting for your doubt. Okay, so both of you are of the view that you need to understand the statutory corporations. See guys, whenever we talked about statutory corporation, it is nothing but when we talked about this one, wherein we were talking about public corporations. So you remember when we were talking about the public corporations, we talked about Food Corporation of India or other, you know, when we talked about the partnership, we were talking about that the percentage of the stake, that means 49% and the 51%. So when we talk about the 51%, that is the maximum one, that is the majority one. So when the majority is with the government, when the majority of the stake or the equity is with government, that is 51%, it is referred to as a public corporation. Right, we talked about public sector enterprises. Again, when we talk about public corporation, it is the same. When we talk about the maximum equity or the maximum percentage is with the government, it is referred to as public corporations. So now the second name for the public corporation is statutory corporation. Right, we already talked about various kind of public corporation, which is Food Corporation of India, wherein I told you that certain examination also is to be clear. You cannot get a job directly into such corporations or such enterprises. You need to clear some particular examination in order to get approval or in order to get employment in them. Right, so let me just read it out for you. Statutory corporations or Public Corporation Act as corporate body are the public enterprises which came into existence by a special act passed by the Parliament. The act defines its powers, functions, rules and regulations, governing its employees and its relationship with government departments. It is financially independent with a clear control over a specified area or a particular type of commercial activity. So again, when we talk about statutory corporations or the second name public corporations, it is again financed and managed by the government itself. And it is also passed by a special act by the Parliament. We already talked about it. Whenever we talk about a private sector corporation and a public sector corporation, there is always a difference that a public corporation or a statutory corporation is always started or it comes into existence with a special act that is passed by the Parliament. Okay, so if you see in the box, this is all the examples of public corporation. You can just remember one or two, it is enough for you. Right, again, when we talk about the features of public corporation, the first one says the formation. Now, how it is formed? It is obviously formed by a special act which is given by the parliament. Again, the foremost thing which we have to remember about public corporation is that it is always started. It is always, started on, or you can say established, or the existence come into when we have the special act that is passed by the parliament, right? And obviously the special act which has been present in here is always defined by what? The objective, powers and privileges. Obviously when we have the special act for this one, what will it mention? It will obviously mention the objectives, kya kya kaam hoga, what all will be done, the powers and the privileges. The next one comes the ownership. Now, who owns this? When we talk about this one, it is obviously public corporation. That means I told you the government has all the control over this, right? So when we talk about this one, it is wholly owned by the state government, right? That means the government has the full responsibility to fund these organizations, receive the profits and bear the losses. That means the government is the whole and sole owner of these kind of corporation. That means no private person will be held responsible for the same. That means the government will be taking the whole and sole responsibility, and the whole and sole take over all these kind of government associations. Now we have the profits and we have the losses. So all the profits will be taken by the government only, and all the losses will also be borne and bear by the government as well, right? The next one comes the body corporate. Now when we talk about the body corporate, this is one of the features in which it is obviously adhering to all the provisions that has already been set up by the Companies Act 2013, right? These corporations have separate legal entity, or you can say separate legal existence from its members, and can enter into contracts, sue or be sued, and acquire the property in its name. So again, when we talk about a company or a corporation, we already talked about Companies Act 2013 earlier. So what it says a separate legal entity, and also it has a separate legal existence. That means it is different from the members of the company. That means it is different. That means the company has whole and sole responsibility. It has the stamp, it has its own name, and it can come into any of the contracts by its own name. The next one comes the finance. Now, when we talk about the finance, how it is being financed, obviously when we talk about it is all taken by the government. So the government will be whole and sole responsible to take and to furnish, or you can say to prosper such kind of a business. The next one comes the employees. Obviously, the employees of such corporation are not government servants. The terms and conditions of this employment are not covered by the government provisions, but are governed by the respective acts for such organization. Again, when we talk about, obviously, they are not government. You cannot say that I got a government job like this. No, it is not whole and sole government job, but yes, as it is already being owned by the government, so yes, it holds a special responsibility, and obviously it has been given out the salary or whatever you can say, it is already being given out by the terms and conditions of the government, but it is not wholly, you cannot say that 100% it is only owned by the government, that all the statutory liquidations, or you can say all the money that has to be given on will be given by the government. So it has been a 50-50 kind of a thing, that okay, you need to take into you need to pass some of the examinations, and then only you will be taken in consideration for the employment of the same, right? So this is what we talked briefly about the statutory corporations. We have already studied the merits and limitations. This was a doubt of Ankita and Ambika Mohta. Just let me know you guys understood or not. When we talk about these features, this is all included in the merits and demerits also. So I got a yes from Ambika. Ankita, I'm waiting for you to say yes or no, you understood or not. Just let me know. Okay, so I got the yes from Ankita as well. Ankita, you have another doubt also. Please tell it in the class. Yes, Ambika, you need to stay in the class, because whatever doubts the other people are also having, just listen to them also, because it will be easier to understand the chapter this way, right? I'm waiting for your next doubt, Ankita. And also I've already shared this PDF with most of you in the group of class 11th, but still I am getting text today that 2 or 3 students need the PDF again. So after this class, I'll be sharing this PDF again in the classroom. So don't worry about it, okay? Okay, defeat of main purpose in government company. Okay, so now basically, Ankita, you want to know why, what was the main purpose that the government companies, they were actually having such kind of a challenges. So when we talk about such kind of a challenges, the main challenges basically are in here. If you remember this one, what were basically the limitations, right? Why the people, why the government company were not able to prosper so much, and why disinvestment was being done, and why the government companies were turned into private companies, right? I think this is your question. So when we talk about this one, mainly when this kind of a question will appear, your answer will be the limitations, right? Why this kind of a situation happened, or why such kind of a thing happened. So the first one, if you remember page number 133, I've just opened the PDF. The first one says the lack of initiative. So when we talk about the lack of initiative, it says that the government companies did not take much of the responsibility to go on with the initiatives, or go on with the innovation, or go on with the right kind of a technology. That was the first thing that was actually lacking behind why the government companies could not prosper too much, and the disinvestment was going on, why they were converting into private companies, right? When we talk about lack of initiative, let me just read it out. The management of government companies always have the fear of public accountability. As a result, they lack initiative in taking right decisions at the right time. Moreover, some directors may not take real interest in business for the fear of public criticism. Now, whenever we talk about a government company, obviously we know a government company is open for the public, right? Whatever is going on will be visible to the public. All the financial documents and all the financial information will all be shared with the government, with the public. So now the people in the government company, they lack behind that kind of initiative. They don't take such kind of responsibility to go on and doing something new, or try something new, to take that kind of innovation or something like this. So now this was the reason why they had the lack of initiative, because they were having self doubt, we can say. They were having fear of public criticism, that something, we might try something new and the public would criticize us, that what kind of a thing they are doing. So that was one of the things that they lacked initiative for the same thing. The next one is lack of business enterprise. So in practice, the management of these companies in general put into the hands of administration service officers who often lack experience in managing the business organization or service lines. Now, when we talk about, let's just take an example. We already discussed it when I was explaining this also. So basically what happens whenever we talk about a government company, okay, so if you see any of the government company or any of the government organization, we usually see people of a lot of age. You can see a lot of people of approximately 40, 45 years or 50 years in there. Why? Because certainly new people are very, it is very difficult for the new people to enter such kind of government company. First thing. Second thing, it's not always that a person who has age has a lot of experience and a lot of expertise. See, a person with a lot of age, maybe a person with 45 years has been into a stream for 15 to 20 years. This person might be having experience. But you cannot say that the person always has the expertise as well, right? The person with new technology, new innovations, new decisions could be better than the person who already had such kind of experience, right? So you cannot always compare age, or you cannot always compare the experience. So again, when we talk about government company, again this kind of a thing happened, because obviously the people who are of 40, 45 age or 50 age, it was difficult for them to take the initiative, or it was difficult for them to reach those efficiency goals. If you remember this last line, they failed to achieve the required efficiency goal, efficiency levels. Again, when we talk about, they might not be too efficient enough, they might not be able to reach that kind of a goal. So that is again one more thing, that they lack the business experience. The next one says change in policies and management. Obviously, when we talk about government companies, it is wholly taken on by the government only, right? It is all taken on by the government. The government will be taking all the decisions against the policies and against the management. So it is very difficult to curb on, to go on with all these kind of changes and all these kind of policies, because such rules and policies and procedures, you also know, one day, our honorable prime minister, Mr. Modi, he comes and he says that 2000 notes will be going on, and 1500 notes will not go on, right? So we also face this kind of a thing. But what about the government companies? Every day if the rules are changing, every day if the new things are coming on, it is very difficult for them to go on. Okay, and generally keep on changing the government. Obviously, if a company is there, if FCI is there, we talk about Food Corporation of India, it is already there, but the government changes. We know now BJP is there. What if after 4 or 5 years Congress comes? So again the government also changes, and the people change, the policies change, the management changes. So it is very difficult to go on. We are just going on to reach the goal, and suddenly the government changes. So it is very difficult to go on with the same thing. The next comes the commercial interest. The management and the control rest in the hands of the government officials, who are generally lethargic. Now lethargic, just underline this word lethargic, because it is, see, we cannot say that all the government officials or the people or the management are lethargic or lazy to do anything. But yes, mostly it is the same, that they are generally lethargic and they take no initiative to compete with the private sector. Obviously, when we talked about the joint ventures, if you remember, we were talking about joint ventures. Why joint ventures was being done? Why people were, public companies were having a collaboration with the private companies? Reason was this only, because the government companies are good enough, no problem with that, but still they lag behind that kind of competitiveness which the private companies are having, right? So that is one of the reasons that the government companies always have a joint venture or have any communication with the private companies as well. When we talked about, I gave you an example of DMRC, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. We talked about that there are two companies who are involved, the government company and the private sector company also. Why they are involved? Because we know that the lack of, going towards that kind of motivation, you can say, or that kind of competitiveness, you can say, is mostly seen in the private sector rather than the government companies. And these four were the major reasons why the government companies were not able to prove themselves better than the private companies, and hence this investment was being done during that period. I hope, Ankita, your doubt is clear. Please let me know if you have any further doubt. Okay, yes, ma'am, understood. Fine, Ankita. Let's proceed forward then. Now we have Ansh and Anshika. So Ansh and Anshika, I'm waiting for your doubts in the chat box. Just in case you don't have any doubt, please write no doubt, ma'am, so that we can proceed with the next question. Ansh, Anshika, Aryan, Bansal. Okay, so let me just first entertain the doubt of Anshika. Ma'am, please, can you explain the features of triple? Yes, definitely, sure. Let me just open it up. So Ankita's question is, she wants to know the features of triple P. So obviously when we were talking about triple P, this is basically public-private partnership, wherein we talked about different kind of partnership that is being done between the public company and a private company, right? And various examples we already talked about. You remember this FCI was being there, and that Yamuna Expressway we talked about that day, right? So when we talk about the features of public-private partnership, the first one is arrangement between the public sector and private sector. This is the foremost thing. Obviously, when you read the name, this is self-explanatory that yes, there is a collaboration between a private sector company and a public sector company, right? Next one says operation or management for a specified period. This is again a foremost feature of triple P. When we talk about this one, this is done for a specific period of time. Once when the project is completed, it does not continue forward. Let's take an example of Yamuna Expressway. So when there was a you can say a partnership between JP Group and Taj Expressway Industrial Development, what was constituted by the UP government, what was there? It was there that this partnership will end when the expressway will be over. That means when the expressway will be built, it will all be done, the partnership will end. So again, the operation or the management is for a specified period only. It goes on for a specified period. It is not always that, okay, it takes 2 years, suppose, for the expressway to build. It will not go on for third or fourth year also. It will end in the second year only. Right. The third one says it is suitable for bid projects. If you remember, we talked about capital projects, wherein we talk about the gestation period is long, the time for making up is long, the period of getting the people to get aware of the same is long. So all these kind of projects take a lot of time and a lot of investment. So a single private company cannot take such kind of projects. So hence there is a collaboration or there is a partnership that is always required between a private and a public sector enterprise or organization in order to go on forward with such kind of a projects, which need a lot of money and time investment. Okay, the next one says Risk and revenue sharing. Again, when we talk about risk and revenue sharing, this has already been discussed, that whenever they will be having any agreement, they will already discuss what kind of a proportion they will be getting of the risk and the profit. Whatever revenue it will be generating, what ratio they will be getting, in what exact amount they will be getting for the same. Right. The next one says performance based payment. Already we discussed performance based payment is what they will not get money like this only. You need to prove that you are capable enough, you have that worth, that you will be getting that such kind of a payment. That means it is not transaction to transaction, we talked about, not transaction to transaction, but it is a performance based. That means you need to show that okay, you are worthy enough and you are attaining that particular performance. Okay. The next one is conformance to performance standards. Obviously, when we talk about if there is a collaboration or if there is a partnership among these two, they need to show that yes, you are able to achieve that kind of a situation. That means you are, if I say we talked about an example, if you remember, I was saying, suppose if I have an exam to give, okay, and I just have the performance standard that okay, I just need to attend this. Only the attempting of this exam will be okay. Okay, and the second person is having that no, I have to achieve 90 or 90 plus in this particular examination. This is performance standard. And it's just not always that, okay, you need to attempt it, but no, you have to show a great performance as well. So here, if you see predetermined and measurable standards set by the public entity or its representative, that means they have already predetermined performance standard that, okay, we have to work like this. We already talked about one more thing. We were talking about DMRC, and we had this case study wherein we talked about the Russia metros. Right. So why we talked about that? Because Russia metros are a different kind of a segment. Okay. They have a different kind of a chronology and they work very differently. But our Delhi metro also had the same view that, okay, not exactly like them, but yes, definitely we'll try to reach at least 90% of what they are having there. Okay. That technology, we have to achieve that. So this is again when we talk about performance standard, that we have to reach in there. Okay. So whose doubt was it? Anshika. Anshika, I hope your doubt is clear. Just write yes, ma'am, if you understood. Ansh Sharma, he says, no doubt, ma'am. I have understood everything. Okay, I got the answer from Anshika. Yes, ma'am, understood. Thank you. Okay. Aryan, ma'am, I was not able to attend Fridays due to network. I cannot say last hour, but I understood. Okay. Okay, Aaron, I understood you were not able to attend the last class. No worries about this. And the earlier topics you have already understood. Don't worry, you will be able to grab up everything, whatever we are discussing soon. You will be intimated for the same, nearby 2 or 3 days. Okay, so wait for that time. Let's proceed on. Dhruv Bansal and Dhruv Gupta, kindly write your doubts so that we could go on. Ma'am, will you please explain the meaning of departmental undertaking and the types of joint venture? Okay, Dhruv Bansal. Let's get started. So the first doubt is the types of joint venture. Okay. So when we talk about types of joint venture, first let's talk about what joint venture actually means. So joint venture, agar humne baat kari thi, so it was basically when 2 or more businesses are coming together in order to share a particular goal or in order to achieve something, right? This is what we call joint venture in a lame language, right? Let's talk about the types of joint venture. The first type of joint venture is equity based joint venture. There are 2 types. The first one is equity based. अब equity based कौन सा होता है? Equity based is a distinct business entity which is created and jointly owned by 2 or more parties. So the first one, when we talk about equity, इसका मतलब क्या होता है? That when 2 or businesses are coming together, right? They are having a joint venture, but they are not going to share the earlier name or earlier identity of their company. They are going to have a separate name, a different name for a particular joint venture, right? For example, we already talked about 2-3 joint ventures wherein we talked about Tata Suzuki as well. So what happened? Tata and Suzuki, they were different companies. They came into joint venture and they collaborated the name together, right? But what if they gave a separate name to it? So when we are giving a separate name, there is no relation with what the past the companies were having, right? So you don't need to discuss what past the particular companies were having, but you have something new to give to the customers or to create your market, right? This is referred to as equity based. So now when we talk about examples, companies, partnership, firms, trusts, LLPs, venture capital funds. If you remember, we talked about one of the, this one, where was it? one of the this multiple choice question was there. Let me just open it. Yes, this one. So if you remember, sixth one, the equity-based joint venture does not include. Do you remember this kind of a question was being there? So which kind of a company cannot be involved in such kind of a joint venture? Obviously, partnership. So because when we talk about this one, LPs are there, partnership firms are there, venture capital firms are there, companies are there. All these are eligible to come into joint venture of a equity-based joint venture. Okay, let's talk about the features now. Creation of a new identity. Obviously, I told you, जब दो companies साथ में आएंगी, there will be a different kind of entity. No past will be entertained of any of the companies. Right. The next one is, it is based on memorandum of understanding. Obviously, terms and conditions only. There will be a proper agreement. Shared ownership hogi. Obviously, both the companies who are both or more than both, right? More than two if they are coming. So they will be having a shared ownership, management, responsibility, and profit and losses. That means all will be joint. There will be nothing different. They will be sharing all the responsibility. That means, again, if we just sum it up, they will be sharing all the rewards and the risk and the losses together. Okay. The next one comes the contractual. Ab contractual ke two name alag se the. The first one is cooperation agreement and the strategic alliance. Right. So when we talk about the second one, what does it say? In such kind of a joint venture, a new jointly owned entity is not created. This is the main difference between the equity one and the contractual one. If they are coming into a joint venture, they are not creating nothing new. New name nahi aayega, new identity nahi aayegi, new entity nahi aayegi, right? Rather, it is based on an agreement to work together. Typical example of such joint venture is franchisee business. So now, if you remember, we talked about Bikaner and Haldiram that day. Okay, so we were talking about MCD also, sorry, McDonald's also. Right, so we were talking about franchisee business. So this is again contractual. इसमें हम नया कुछ create नहीं कर रहे हैं. Two companies are coming into joint venture, but the past is the same. If I am having a franchisee, suppose I have a land, okay, and I go to Bikaner owner and I say, I want your franchisee, please. We are coming into a joint venture. We are going to work together, but the company will be Bikaner only. If you come into my store, it will be Bikaner only. It will be Haldiram's only. Right? I'm not changing the past. I'm not creating a new identity. New identity nahi milegi, new company nahi milegi. जो past है वो हमेशा same ही रहेगा. Right? Now when we talk just about the features, no sharing of ownership. Obviously जो Bikaner का owner है, the owner will be same only. The owner will not change. Right? It's just that, okay, that store ownership will be with me, but the main owner of that company will be the same. So hence there is no sharing of ownership. Right? The next one is, two or more parties have a common intention of running a business venture. Obviously, why we are coming into joint venture is basically to run up a business, to be more intensive, right? Each party brings some inputs. Obviously, if I am bringing my land, right, the other party will be giving the brand name to me, right? If I say I have a land, or no, I have good land, and I'll be giving money for the franchisee, the other person will be giving the brand name to me, so that the people will be coming to my store. Right? So each party brings some inputs. दोनों तरफ से you have to bring something. The next one says, both parties exercise some control on the business venture. Again, I told you. The next one is, the relationship is not a transaction to transaction relationship, but has a character of relatively longer duration. As I told you, if I take a franchisee, it will not be that, okay, today a sale of 1 lakh was being done, so you take 20%, 80% I will retrieve myself. No, it is not like this. I told you, if we have to take any kind of a franchisee of any kind of a store, we need to put some money on that. So I told you, in Bikaner, if we want the franchisee of Bikaner, we have to put 1.5 crore to 10. We need to give such, it could fluctuate, but this is approximate, and this is a live example what I also faced. So it was approximately 1 to 1.5 crore is basically what you need to give in order to get that brand name and in order to start on with your things. So it is not always ki acha aaj 1 lakh ki sale hui, so okay, 20% you take and 80% I will give. No, it is not like this. It goes on with a relatively longer duration, and there's a one-time fixed amount that is being given. It could vary that, okay, they could have a certain obligation, or you can say a certain agreement that every year you need to submit this kind of money. So it depends on them, right? Now, these are basically the examples which we already studied. So Dhruv, Bansal, I would like if you can go on with these examples as well. And still, if you have any doubt, we are going to clear it tomorrow. So we are almost at the end of last 2 minutes. Let me just quickly take a video of the attendance, and then you're good to go. Tomorrow we are going to continue with the doubt class. All those who don't have any doubt, please attend the class so that you understand each and everything and you are able to understand what we are reading right now, right? Because sometimes it happens, I don't have any doubt, but certainly somebody asks something and certainly we tend to have more knowledge about it, right? So it will be good for us. And we are going to start on with Dhruv tomorrow. Dhruv Gupta, I'm going to entertain your doubt tomorrow. So let's meet up tomorrow. Please be very, very particular that you are attentive in the class and you come up at the right time. Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.